What's up,
So
Duo
your
Up?
yeah, your lady lied about the CDL thing. I got my CDL when I was a permanent resident, so you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to get your CDL. And what people do is they will steal somebody's identity and then use that to drive. So they'll have a cousin or something, and then they'll take that cousin's identity and use it to drive illegally.
So, as it relates to your first
Yeah,
claim that you could be a permanent resident and get a CDL license, I'd believe that. I mean, like permanent
yeah.
residents
I'll
can
show
get
you
a.
my CDL license right now if you doubt it. I mean, I got one
Well,
as a permanent
I
resident.
just said that I just said that I believe that.
Right,
Is that's like a legal tenant of residency in America.
right. And
So
I'm a super
why do you
Trump
support Trump?
supporter. I support him because he's America first. He's going to stop
America first.
unfettered illegal immigration that's going to damage the fabric of America. It's leading to high crime.
Holy Hitler,
It's
holy Hitler, holy Hitler.
it's leading
Hitler.
it's leading
This
to
reminds me of Hitler when you're like they're
uh,
poisoning the
it's
blood of this country,
right
damaging. Anyways,
right. It's
continue.
displacing historical minority groups. You can see what's happening in places in
Replacing? How
Chicago.
do immigrants replace?
Displacing, not replacing,
Okay.
displacing.
How is it displacing?
Right. So in Chicago, for instance, there are African Americans who do not get benefits because they're going to all the people who are here illegally. I think that is a disaster.
Wait, what specific benefits?
Whatever benefits, housing, they're throwing people off. There are many news reports where people don't get housing because the housing is earmarked for illegals.
Okay, so
Happened in New York.
so you should refer to people who are in the country undocumented, or is it people who are through the asylum
Right. They have a
process?
country. The United States is not
Are the
responsible.
people you're referencing going through the asylum process?
The United States is not responsible for the welfare of the citizens of the world.
I'm just asking, are the people you're referencing going through the asylum process because that's a legal process in the country?
Right. So some are, some just attach themselves to an asylum process to get in the door.
Can you
Well, to
listen?
clarify, you're talking about
They
legal.
don't have a
He's talking
legitimate
about legal
claim.
immigrants, and what he's also referencing is systems of social services that are underfunded. Why are these systems of social services underfunded?
Can I just ask a quick question? Can you
Ask
please like
away.
give us any evidence of like funding for citizens of low income for housing, like public housing or Section 8 rental assistance? Can you give us any evidence that those systems anywhere in America have been defunded to fund systems that benefit
Yeah.
undocumented immigrants?
Do you take news articles as evidence? Because I can show you some in New York. In fact, your mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, fell out with the Democratic Party because he told them that he was sick and tired of displacing his residents to put in illegals in place, and then they hit him
Undocumented
with
immigrants.
Okay,
they hit him
can I
with
give you an
charge.
idea? Can I give you an idea here? So I actually do think that there's been suboptimal conditions that have been created in large democratic metropolitan areas because of the fact that those are some of the only areas in America where undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers can live without direct persecution from their immediate local or county government, right? I feel like
So
what
tell
we
me the
need to
countries.
do, no. What we need to do, right, if we want to create systems of support that exist for everybody that are better optimized, is to create that change on the national scale, okay? I think that all undocumented immigrants in America that have not committed violent offenses should be offered a pathway to residency or citizenship and the ability to freely live anywhere in America under that new founded residency or citizenship. And I think that we should then turn around and slow undocumented entry into the country by fixing the root problem, which is slow, neglected, and depraved legal means of entry into America. So we eradicate the issue of undocumented entry, and we eradicate the issue of undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers only being able to receive some baseline level of benefits or honestly just fair treatment in a couple sanctuary cities to every city in this country. Sounds good to me. Does it sound good to you?
No,
Why not?
economic prosperity is not manna from heaven, right? People developed economic prosperity. America cannot bear the brunt of 80 million people who are going to flood into the country, who live in third world countries for a reason.
Well, here's the issue, and I'll let you explain that they live in third world countries for a reason. Comment after I say that, because that was crazy. But here's the issue: immigrants actually help the economy, even if they're undocumented. Did you know that? Yeah. So undocumented immigrants, how much do you think they pay in taxes per year?
They don't.
So actually, they do, according to the IRS, undocumented immigrants. No, right? So you're going to listen to me. According to the IRS, undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion in taxes every year on the federal, state, and local level. Not to mention, they also contribute $300 billion to the American GDP per year. And not to mention, they get lower wages compared to citizens because they have less Sorry, I'm tripping up. I have a stutter. Sometimes it's more prevalent than other times. Because they have a less of an ability to negotiate better wages with their employers compared to citizens, because it's easier to exploit them. We give them citizenship, we give them residency. All of a sudden, without changing their material conditions, they get higher wages, which means they will go from contributing $300 billion to the GDP per year to more than $300 billion to the GDP per year. And they'll go from paying $100 billion in taxes per year to more than $100 billion per taxes in a year. So this argument that it's just not economically sustainable is actually false, as they benefit the economy. And they'll only benefit it more if they're given that pathway to residency or citizenship.
Yeah, that's a complete lie. They send more money out of the country than they put.
Wait. Prove.
You haven't proved yours,
facts
though.
I just shared with you were the
You haven't proved anything.
Sure,
Show me the source.
Sure, I have the IRS in the House.
Trust me, bro. Oh, trust me, bro.
Wait. You think me saying the IRS in a study done by the House Republicans?
That's not proving anything. I can say the IRS too. I can say the IRS is my source too.
Duel, can I ask you a question? What's your source?
What's my source? I can pull up a source.
What would that be?
Yeah, it's just from their general knowledge. I can pull up many articles that I read about the problem of legal immigration and how it drains. Go ahead.
Can you give me any evidence that it's
how it drains things like
how it's harmful to the economy?
I'm going to be clear about I'm going to be clear about my source, and then you be clear about your source. So this is coming from House.gov, from House Republicans. To find the source, just look up House.gov. Undocumented immigrants, $100 billion in taxes per year. You will then be given a PDF on House.gov that is 6 pages long that highlights that this is true, and then provides the link to the external source, which is coming directly from the IRS, as well as the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. And that demonstrates that, yes, they are paying $100 billion per year in taxes. So what's your source that they're not?
Right. My source is the drain that they have on emergency medical services, like the emergency room. They use the emergency room as their healthcare.
Well, we'll get on to that, but I want to clarify.
Right, they don't pay for the services, that
doesn't dispute what I said at all.
The cost of healthcare higher for all of us.
Wait, but this is a whole new argument. You're not proving my argument wrong, because you said that undocumented immigrants pay $0 in taxes per year. I just gave you 3 sources that say otherwise. House Republicans, the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, and the IRS. You said I was wrong and that I was just giving you a trust me, bro. So what is your source to demonstrate that they don't pay $100 billion per taxes in a year? By the way, just saying that they drain resources from emergency rooms is not doing that.
All right. Since you refused to show an article, I'm going to look it up real quick.
Wait, buddy, I just gave you the fucking source. I spoke it into existence. I told you.
Right, I'm going to check your
House.gov, undocumented immigrants, $100 billion.
No. I don't want propaganda from the Biden administration.
Wait, under the Biden administration, this was released the day after Trump's inauguration on January 22nd, 25, and this source is from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. No, this was not under the Biden and the Harris administration. This was literally under the Trump administration. January 22nd, 2025.
Yeah, that's why it was
under
propaganda,
the Trump
Dean.
administration.
That's why it was propaganda, Dean.
Yes. This
because it was
PDF
under Trump.
Was uploaded on House.gov under the Trump administration. And then keep in mind, this is coming from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy and the IRS, buddy. Okay? And by the way, Even Donald Trump recognizes that undocumented immigrants pay
The
taxes
IRS
to the
is just
IRS.
not a real government agency, dude.
The reason
It's
why-
not real, only Doge.
The reason why I know that even Trump recognizes that undocumented immigrants pay taxes to the IRS is because 3 weeks ago, he publicly went to the IRS and asked them for their records of the undocumented immigrants that pay taxes to them.
Right.
So
So
now this fact has been affirmed by the IRS. This fact has been affirmed by House Republicans. This fact has been affirmed by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. And this fact has been affirmed by Donald Trump personally. How could you possibly tell me that I'm wrong, you little weasel? Take it away.
Right. So, Dean, I'm old enough to be your grandfather, so you're the little weasel.
I'm not calling you a weasel because of how many times you've been around the sun. I don't think that determines how mature
Okay,
you
little
are.
dude.
You aren't.
Little Dean, so the tax stuff you talked about was a total lie. These taxes you're talking about are local taxes, like the consumption taxes, because they buy gas, they eat food, so they pay taxes because they buy gas and eat food. Because if you don't buy gas and eat food, you can't go to work and you can't live. Federal income tax, they don't contribite much. They take more from the federal government than they put in. Right. So
But now
why don't you stop
that's
lying?
a totally different claim. I'll refute and disprove that. No,
it's
no, 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 no.
only
No
$90
ands.
billion.
No ands.
It's
No
only
ands.
90
No ands. No ands, ums, and or buts. No, 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 no. I will absolutely refute the claim that they take out more than they put in. But that claim is completely distinct and separate than the claim that you made that I was wrong that they pay $100 billion in taxes.
They paid $90 billion in 2023. $90 billion.
Okay.
As of 2023,
Nine-
$90 billion.
nine-
And most of
$90
it,
billion.
most of it is in local state taxes, consumption taxes, because they have to eat food, they have to buy things, and items are taxed.
Do you agree that that tax number would be higher if you gave them mass amnesty?
No, I think if you give them mass amnesty, it would bring in all their relatives from the third world. It would degrade the nation.
How would it degrade the
you
nation?
would become a person.
How would it degrade the
a
nation?
persecuted group.
How would more immigration degrade the nation?
Because they cause higher crime. That's why.
Oh, okay. Did you know that immigrants, undocumented and illegal immigrants, commit less crime than natural-born U.S. citizens? You also voted for a criminal
Right.
that
And
was
the
held
reason
civilly liable of
they don't
sexually
do that-
abusing a
Trump is
woman
not a
that
criminal.
released
Trump is
violent
not-
criminals into the
Trump is not a
country.
criminal. Trump
So-
has
so-
never been a
so-
criminal. He's not a criminal.
He is.
He is, but first acknowledge what Parker just said. So he just
Right.
shared with
The
you a
reason
very
they don't
specific.
commit
No,
crime-
no, 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 no. You said that undocumented immigrants are more likely to commit crimes. Did you say that?
I said that. I said they raise the crime rate. I didn't say they're more likely. to
That's just wrong.
Okay, well, see the reason
They do.
why that's wrong.
No, it's not.
The reason why that's wrong. Can we agree that a crime rate is per capita?
Right. It's likelihood. It describes.
Okay, okay. So the only way that undocumented immigrants would raise the crime rate, raise that per capita rate, is if they were at a higher likelihood, right? Right? They can't raise that rate.
No, that's not exactly true. It depends on what area of the country they go in.
Okay. Tell me how undocumented immigrants can raise a per capita crime rate if they are
Easy.
2 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens.
Right. The reason that-
2.5 times less likely to commit property crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens, and 3.5 times less likely to commit petty crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens. In fact, the fact is, undocumented immigrants in America reduce per capita crime rates.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
My source is the PNAS. What's yours?
Right. So
Let me hear the source.
the reason that generally they don't commit crimes is because they know if they commit crimes they'll be deported.
I think that's a fine reason, but that reason
Right.
goes to show that they're less likely to commit these crimes, meaning that they reduce per capita crime rates.
So you're adding the whole group, the women, the children. If you just tease out the males, right? You don't get that. You get higher crime.
Also wrong. Because it is the case that men commit 92% of all violent crimes. Undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit all violent crimes. So if you tease out the 8% of those violent crimes that are committed by undocumented immigrants that are women, they would still be less likely to commit violent crimes. And in fact, I'm so confident in this claim that I'll prove it to be right by asking you one question. Go ahead and give me a source that demonstrates that if you just tease out the men and you compare undocumented men compared to documented men, the undocumented men are more likely to commit violent crimes. Go ahead and give me a source that demonstrates that that is true.
I'm sorry, ask that again because I was looking up their crime rates.
Yeah, give me your source that shows that undocumented immigrants that are men are more likely to commit violent crimes than documented immigrants and or citizens that are men.
And then he'd also be okay with unlimited women coming to the country because they're less likely to commit crime.
Right. So, well, it depends on
Right.
what their usage is. Like, what's the point?
What their
are they
usage
good
is?
for?
What?
Yes. What are they going to be good for? What are they going to contribute?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, what are they going to contribute? Okay,
Yeah,
you
what are
understand that undocumented immigrants and documented immigrants contribute
he's
more to the
using you to
economy
pivot,
because
Parker.
they have a higher labor force participation rate than natural-born U.S. citizens. But I'll let you go back to Dean's point.
He's
Right,
using
so
you
what
to
would-
pivot. He's using you
Right.
to
So,
pivot.
Dean, no, I'm not. No. So, Dean, I've got here their total criminal convictions by type, right? And I see here now. I don't have it. I would have to pull up the FBI crime statistics. But I'm not sure if they tease out illegal crime versus legal crime. But I see here, for instance, I believe in 2022 there were 1,142 incidences of assault, battery, and DV. There were 864 instances of burglary, robbery, larceny, theft, and fraud. Driving under the influence, which is a huge one they commit because they have a huge drink.
Boom! I muted you. The reason why I muted you is because I want a source that shows that undocumented immigrants that are men are more likely to commit all crimes and or violent crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens or legal residents that are men. Take it away and give us that source. Feel free to unmute. Sent you the invitation. Take it away.
They have no right to be in the country, so it doesn't matter what they do versus citizens. The fact that they commit crimes in the first place. Dean, can you explain to me why there were 2,844
holy
incidences
I have a question.
of driving under the
I
influence?
have a question. If criminals aren't good enough to be able to be allowed into the country, then are you saying they should be allowed to be president too?
Donald Trump is not a
He
criminal.
shouldn't. He
Donald
literally
Trump
is by definition
a
convicted
process
criminal.
crime, a paperwork process crime that the Democratic administration and Alvin Bragg turned into felonies in order to stop him from winning an election in which he still won.
What? Okay, so
He won bigly, all 7 swing states. Bigly, he won bigly.
he didn't win
Bag of
bigly.
rules
He won by a lower level of percentage than what Biden won by.
Guess what? He won by more than Kamala Harris.
You're
did.
letting this guy get away. You're letting him get away.
No, go for it. Go for it.
No,
I'm sorry.
I want
everything
you-
that comes
I
out of
want
his
you-
mouth is wrong.
I know,
Dean, it's like everything that's wrong is wrong.
I want you to go for it, okay? Right? I want you to go for it. But I feel like right now you're being too kind. And the reason that I say that is because he got away from his claim that undocumented immigrants that are men are more likely to commit violent crimes. And then he said that he's not a criminal.
they were
He got
more
away
likely.
from
I
that
said they
by saying that he won
raised
bigly.
crime.
So no, Parker, I'm
They
not going to
contribute to
overspeak you.
crime.
One moment, sure, quite frankly, I'm not going to overspeak you. I want you to be able to come up here and have some debates as well. I feel really bad when I'm just talking the whole time. But take it away, all right? But grill this motherfucker, okay? Don't let him escape.
They
Did you hear Duel? Did you hear what he said? Do you want him to repeat it?
Right, I
before
heard
we
what he
start?
said. They contribute to crime.
Then repeat what he said first.
Right. He claimed erroneously that I said that they have a higher crime rate. I never said that.
You liar! I heard you say that.
Yo,
I
YouTube
said
chat,
they
give me the
con-
timestamp. Give me the timestamp, YouTube
Said
chat.
they raised the crime rate.
Give me the timestamp.
They raised the crime rate because they contribute to crime.
You liar!
They actually
You're
commit
literally
crime.
such a liar.
Yeah.
I remember.
Chat,
I
give me-
actually remember you saying that. You literally
Chat.
said that they have
No,
a
no,
higher
I said
crime
they
rate.
contribute
You said
to crime.
you said that they would increase the crime rate when
Right.
actually, like, if it is the case that undocumented immigrants and documented immigrants commit multiple times lower rates of violent crime, drug crime, and property crime, they would actually lower the rate of crime as percentage of the population
that's
if
the
they're taken into
silliest-
account within the population statistics. So
That's
actually,
so
what you're
silly.
doing is completely disingenuous and a total lie because it would actually decrease the crime rates.
And then on top
Parker.
of that,
Parker.
you explicitly argued, and now this is the timestamp that I'm waiting on for my YouTube chat. You explicitly argued that it is the case that undocumented immigrants that are men are more likely to commit crimes than men that are permanent residents or citizens. Do you remember arguing that?
It depends on what group, but if you look at like the Haitian population, they're more criminally inclined than, let's say, native-born
my God.
white men in America.
Oh my fucking
Wait.
God. So
Wait. What did you just say? Say that one more time. What the
Right,
fuck?
so it depends on the immigrant population you're looking at. If you look at Haitian illegal migrants, they are more likely to commit crimes than native white men in America.
Why is the basis of what you're comparing to native white men in America? Why is that the comparative basis?
Because they're a native group.
You think white men are a native group in North America?
What do you think
I'm
the-
Parker,
sorry.
you are native to North America.
what do you think?
No, I'm fucking not.
What do you think-
Parker, you've
absolutely,
been
dude.
here for-
Hello?
you've been
Are
here
you
for-
sentient?
What do you?
No.
Well, I have a question.
History?
Parker,
What do you
you've been
think-
here for multiple
What
generations.
do you
You are
think?
native.
What do you think the word native means?
Right. Native means that native is not aboriginal. You're thinking aboriginal. I'm saying native.
Don't tell me what you don't think it is. Tell me what you do think it is. What do
Right.
you think the word native means?
being born in a particular landmass.
Okay, so let me
Right.
get this straight. The children of undocumented immigrants born in America are not only legal citizens, but they're also native to America.
Well, I think it needs to be reversed. I think they're taking
Wait,
advantage
why?
of.
Why they're natives?
Right. Well, their parents aren't. Your parents are native here.
Wait, would you agree with me that the children of undocumented immigrants born in America are native Americans?
No, I think they're native to the. I think they're
But
native.
by the
to
way,
country
how does
their
he
parents
know
come
whether or
from.
not I'm native? My parents could be immigrants. He's just assuming because I'm white.
Oh
I'm
my
native.
God,
Dude,
you're right.
what
Why
a
did you
fucking weirdo.
assume that he's like native and that his parents were born here because he's white?
Because I've heard him speak for years at this point, and
Tell us anything about his parents.
I'm pretty sure that he's
Tell
You
us
don't
anything
know.
about
You
his
don't know
parents.
anything about like my parents.
Parker. I'm pretty sure that you're native to America. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure you have at least one parent that was also born in America. Like that's pretty evident.
Okay, wait. So if both of your parents were born in America, even if they are, even if like their parents were immigrants, does that make you native?
I think when you get to the third generation, nativity becomes an argument
Why is it specifically the third generation?
because you're so distant
Oh.
from where you're so distant from where you came from, and your linkages to the current place you're in is.
I
so
think I think the great thing about America is that when you become a citizen, you become an American. Right at that point. I don't know this whole point of what you're bringing up of being quote unquote.
But America has an
like
identity.
me being native. Like that's like a really weird concept that you're trying to bring up. Or why don't we just reference the facts
America
of
has an
reality
identity.
that you are an American, right? If you come to this country, and that American is not something we should gatekeep, and that America is a place where people can come from around the entire world for a better life, not only for themselves, but for the people that are currently living here. Because immigrants that are coming to the country will create a greater level of a workforce that will be able to pay for Social Security and Medicare, right? That we are literally losing the ability to be able to pay for in the long run because conservatives are not funding these programs because they want massive tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. So why don't we specifically, right, engage in policy that not only benefits immigrants, but also benefits people who are living in the United States because it's positive for both sides. It's mutually beneficial for everyone. Immigration is a great thing and is foundational to the values of this country. You believing that this country needs to stay the same, right, is antithetical to the nature of what this country should be in terms of progression, constantly changing, right? Us adopting new cultures, being a melting pot for around the entire world is a great thing. It's a unique thing that we should be proud of in this country.
Right. So if those people were so capable of building up a nation, they wouldn't have had a need to come here. There are people that come from certain.
That's for like everyone in this country.
Well, no.
Everyone in this
No,
country
that's not true.
has come to this country, whether it be through religious
not true.
persecution, whether that be through persecution based upon gender, whether that be persecution based upon your sex, whether that be persecution based upon so many different immutable characteristics, right? This country should be seen as a place where you can come to seek asylum because it is a place for safety, security, and freedom. That's what it should be seen
Also,
as, a beacon for security,
also,
hope, and freedom.
Did you just say that if like these people, quote unquote, were capable of building a great nation, then they would have come here?
Yeah.
Didn't you at the start of this conversation say that you yourself are an immigrant?
Yeah. My parents brought me here. I didn't come here by choice. My parents brought me here.
Okay, so if
And
you
they
could
brought me here
choose,
from-
if
from
you
a
could
fi-
choose, like you would have stayed and the country in which your parents came from, and you because you're like capable.
Personally, I would have. Yes, personally, I wouldn't have come to America.
So like you're so fucking anti-immigration. You're so anti-immigration that you're even against your own immigration.
To America.
That's like okay. That's gotta be like I gotta say that's one of the
That's
wilder
crazy.
things I've heard. That's like one of the wilder things I've heard. I'm not gonna lie.
Grateful. Right, I'm grateful to be in America, but I know that if 10 million people come here from where I came from, they would not advance the country. I understand that.
You feel like you advance the
Why?
country?
Why?
Do I feel like I advance the country?
Yeah.
I think I benefit from the country more than I advance it.
So you're so
Okay.
anti-immigration that you do you pay taxes?
Yes, I pay taxes.
How much do you pay in taxes?
When I had a business, I paid a lot. It was annoying, but
So you're a business owner that paid a shit ton of taxes. How could you possibly benefit more from the country than what you give to the country?
because I would never have had the opportunity had I not been in this country.
I don't understand.
Wait, so if you believe that you're a net loss, right? Then why are you blaming other people for being quote unquote net losses?
Right, because they're economic migrants. They're not here to make the country better. They're here to get from the country.
That's not true. That's not true.
Are you here to make the country better?
Wait, also, I just want to point out, like, actually, we were having this conversation earlier, and like, we never got to finish it out. So, undocumented immigrants pay more in taxes than they get in benefits.
It's not true.
Okay.
You're talking about consumption taxes, which everyone pays.
Okay, so go ahead and prove me wrong.
Right. They don't pay any more than anyone else who consumes in America pays. If you buy a car, you got to pay taxes.
Right.
If you buy chicken, you got to pay taxes.
Right. So there's other local level taxes. So I mean, you said it yourself.
Yeah,
in
so
the fiscal
that's
year
just what they're
of
doing.
2023, for instance, they paid $90 billion in taxes. In the fiscal year of 2022, they paid $100 billion in taxes. So go ahead and demonstrate to me all of the benefits that undocumented immigrants received in those 2 years were more than $100 billion and $90 billion. Take it away.
Right. I talked about the emergency rooms, how they
Emergency
suck
rooms.
up. Right.
Yeah.
They
So
suck
how
up
much
that.
does Medicare expense out per year for uninsured people in emergency rooms?
I'll have to look that up.
I know it's around $17 billion. So undocumented immigrants only account for a fraction of the uninsured individuals that use emergency rooms. But even if we were to assume that every uninsured person that used an emergency room that had their bill covered by Medicare was an undocumented immigrant, they're still paying 5 times in than what they're taking out. So what else?
Right. So if they were such a net positive to the country,
No.
then
You're proving that they're not by demonstrating the different benefits they receive. So far, you've been able to calculate undocumented immigrants that receive emergency room benefits paid for by Medicaid because they're uninsured individuals. Okay, I detailed to you how that is
free
not sufficient
education
in
that their
demonstrating.
children get.
Well, their children are citizens.
Some are, some aren't.
Well, that's the thing. A disproportionate amount of the children of undocumented immigrants are, yes, born in America.
Right, so they have- so the children they have-
when you say that it is the case that they're benefiting via money expensed through the education system, that's not money going to undocumented immigrants. It's going to citizens. And now, for like the 10% of children that are not citizens themselves and are undocumented immigrants, okay, well, I still think that is a long-term ROI. That's not draining resources. That is investing in our future, okay? And this is true for the children of everybody in America. That's true for all children going to school in America. And I just want to say that this is probably the worst fucking argument against undocumented immigrants that anybody could ever make. You're literally telling me that you think it is such a drain on the American economy and it is such a bad thing that some undocumented immigrants are getting an education to be a part of a more highly skilled labor force that will reap on average an additional $700,000 throughout their life just by seeking a high school diploma. Okay, so they're only going to be providing more into the American economy long term. They're only going to be paying more in taxes in the long term, and they're only going to be strengthening our labor force with more highly skilled and more highly educated laborers in the long term.
They don't do high school jobs. They do low wage jobs. They cut grass. They cut grass and they clean hotels and they sweep floors. That's not going to revolutionize the American economy.
Okay. Well, for you to assume that all undocumented immigrants do what you deem as a stereotype of an undocumented immigrant, like cleaning floors or cutting grass, tells me all I need to know about you. Okay, you're obviously just a disgusting coward. But then
This
secondarily,
guy's so fucking gross, dude.
even if all
So,
documents in America,
job is a job.
all of undocumented immigrants in America were working in jobs such as the ones that you just named, as you just said, a job's a fucking job. Wow, look at this guy that is shitting on laborers earning an income and paying taxes to make the country better. Look at this guy shitting
about the money they send out of the country,
$300 billion, $300 billion in the American GDP per year.
What about the remittances, Dean? What about how they hurt the American economy by pumping
Give any economic evidence indicating that, please.
by pumping out billions of dollars out of the American economy into
What's the economic evidence?
remittances? What you want me to? I'll look it up.
Go give me any study that indicates
I will
that,
look up the amount of
that
remittances.
undocumented immigrants are negative to our economy.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me
Wait,
pull
then
it up.
also, I thought that you're a fiscal conservative. I thought that you believe in individuals' liberties and freedoms, but all of a sudden, you're going to be
For
shitting on
American citizens,
You're going to be
not for the
shitting
whole
on
world.
people that are doing what they want with their money when it doesn't negatively harm her or affect you. And also, you don't
It
get
does harm America.
You don't get a money out of the economy that you owe to the IRS. Once again, $100 billion per year. And second of all, undocumented immigrants are not at a higher likelihood to send money out of the economy than legal immigrants.
Yes, they are. Why are you telling a lie? Yes, they are.
Okay, so demonstrate that to us.
Right. I'm going to give you the number of remittances that are sent out of the country by illegal immigrants. Give me 1 second to pull it
Compared
up.
to legal immigrants. This guy's all over the place. Hey, man, I appreciate you
This
for the
guy's
love over on YouTube
ridiculous.
Super Chat. Maggie, thank you so much for the $10. Saying, thank you for doing what you're doing, not just debating, but educating people. Literally the way to save our democracy. I appreciate you for your kindness, Maggie. As well as Adam, thank you for the $20 over in Super Chat saying I'd trade. Yeah, thank you for the $20. It's incredibly kind of you, Adam. As well as Phantom, thank you for the $10 as well. Thank you so much, Phantom. And then Nina and Noah, both with a 5. I would also like to say, Kira, thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. Thank you so much, Kira says, I work in healthcare in a health center that serves immigrants. The drain is lack of health insurance, not the immigrants. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why mass amnesty is a good idea. And then she goes on to say that when given health insurance, we see more people with jobs and healthier populations as a whole. Maybe that's why we should support universal health care. As well as Danielle, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo, saying keep it up. Thank you, Danielle. And then Dahlia, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. And then let me go ahead and check over on PayPal. Once again,
Hold
Scar
on.
with another 5 and Macy with a 5. Thank you so much.
By the way, there's a Trump policy that's going to tax.
Hold up. The person who just joined the live said that we're modern day panhandlers.
Oh,
I want to see if
really?
they're trolling.
Really? SJ, do you think that?
Oh, Parker, you don't remember me?
I don't.
Oh,
Who are you?
sweetheart. Oh, of course you don't.
I'm sorry. I'm confused.
Yeah, y'all are little 20-year-olds that have done nothing with y'all's lives.
Really?
But
Can I
Okay,
tell you a
I'm
little
been
bit about...
indoctrinated.
SJ,
oh no!
Can I tell
I
you
don't
again?
know, Dean.
This
You
is
are
a
the
good-
biggest
good-
piece
good
of
time to
shit
start my
that I've
live.
seen Charlie Kirk dog walk with both of
Okay.
y'all.
Okay, SJ.
Okay, Charlie
Do you mind-
Kirk dog walked
Do you,
us?
can I speak real quick? No, she left.
Yeah.
She left.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.